Marvel Spider-Man 2 on PC is off to a buggy mess. You see what I did there? No pun intended, really, but, well, I guess you could say pun intended if I planned to say that at the beginning of the video. But anyway, Spider-Man 2 swings straight into hard crashes, performance issues, and a very mixed Steam rating. Issues up the wazoo. This is not good, especially considering from the fact that it came from a well-known PC porter company called Nixxes, who's actually well-known for porting tons of PlayStation titles, including the first Marvel Spider-Man and, of course, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, Ratchet & Clank, and some other well-known titles. It's really bizarre that the second game would have some bugs and crashes, but what's also very interesting is that when the first Marvel Spider-Man 2 launched for PlayStation 5, that game also had a few issues and it crashed quite a bit here and there. But the fact that the PC port version of that game is experiencing just about the same problems, if not more, it's just like, what the hell, you know? And it's really, again, like, it's bizarre that it's coming from a well-known PC port company like Nixxes Software, who actually, I'm sorry if the screen is black, who actually is well-known for porting really good ports. So anyway, here is the article here, and I have it from PC Gamer, and I'm going to go ahead and read it to you, and then we will discuss. But as of now, at the time of me recording this video, I don't have, like, I didn't purchase the copy for PC at all, and I'm going to hold off a little bit. I really wanted to stream it, but then also a part of me doesn't want to stream it and play it anymore. It's not because of the crashes, it's more so like the story is just not as good as the first one, where the first one felt a little bit more personable. I felt more connected to the hero and, of course, its other characters in the story. The second one just didn't do it for me. Yeah, the gameplay is great, it's fun, it's a little bit better than the first one. The traversal system especially is better than the first one, but the story just didn't really grab me fully. It didn't grab my attention so much. But anyway, Marvel Spider-Man 2 launched on PC yesterday. The latest version in the conveyor belt of the PlayStation first party games that now spend a year or two exclusively on console before coming to PC. Actually, it spent about 15 months. Insomniac open world sequel was generally well received on console, and the quality of Sony's PC ports have seemed to be improving over recent years, recent releases at least, but it looked like port studio Nixxes may have slightly fumbled this one. Hold off on buying until they get a couple of stabilization patches out, because holy hell, says Lumi Klovstad. And I didn't realize it was this bad, but I keep hearing reports about this constantly on YouTube videos from other content creators, and of course from articles like this about how bad the PC port is. Now, of course, there may be some people out there who are not experiencing these issues, but just because you're not experiencing these issues doesn't mean that these issues don't exist. To say this is rough is an understatement. Lighting doesn't load in some cutscenes. Those same cutscenes run at seconds per frame. Audio desync issues up the wazoo, freezing, stuttering, and just about every other performance issue I can think of. Some people can probably take this and run with it and say, oh, you just don't have good computer parts. Well, if those people who say something like that doesn't know the first thing about PC gaming, or just pretty much doesn't know the first thing about PCs in general and how they work. It has nothing to do with your parts. It has more or less to do with how the port has been, well, ported. And if the port's a bad port, well, there you have it. It's a bad port. It has nothing to do with your system whatsoever. If you have a decent PC, $1,000, $800 budget kind of PC, then you can definitely most certainly play these games, assuming that you have more or less like modern tech, modern GPUs, processors, and whatnot. At least within the last, I don't know, 7-8 years or so, you should be fine. You shouldn't be having any problems. So anyway, let's go ahead and get back to the article. A player going by the handle of Extreme Hot Diarrhea says it's crashing every 10 minutes and keeps claiming there's a problem with their settings being too high for their GPU or old display drivers. And then this person's like, this Hot Diarrhea's user, his PC is an NVIDIA RTX 4090, the newest driver 5.7 2.16, an i7 13700KF, DDR5 32 gigabytes of 6000 megahertz of speed for RAM. There are just over 2,000 reviews thus far, split between positive and negative. Some players aren't running into these technical issues, though it does seem that the folk with higher end cards like 4080s and 4090s are running into the most problems. Players are also reporting that the game goes on the fritz when you fiddle with graphical settings in games, while others are encountering a repeated problem with crashing in cutscenes. Now, I'm kind of curious. With my PC specs, I don't have a 4080 or 4090 or 4080 Super or whatever, but I do have like the one that goes right before 4080. So my PC specs, if you want to know, my processor is an AM4 Ryzen 7 5800X3D. Also, I have a GeForce RTX 4070 Ti Super by Gigabyte, with 64 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM at 3200 megahertz. That is my PC setup. I'm actually working on my second build, which is, stacked over there. I have the motherboard, the RAM, and I have the case with the fans inside and some other things in there. Slowly I'm buying the parts like I did with the first build. But now, I'm excited for my second build. I can't wait. And it's pretty much going to be my PlayStation, Xbox, PC. I'm going to play pretty much every game. But I wonder, with my specs, at least my current one, if I would have a hard time playing Marvel Spider-Man 2. But this is disappointing nonetheless. So PC Gamer has a few copies on the team, and our results are mixed too. Seems to run pretty smoothly for me, but it just hard clocked and crashed the desktop 10 minutes in, and says senior editor Robin Valentine on the 3080. It demanded a driver update for me too when I booted it, though it still crashed and said my drivers weren't up to date. That's weird. He says it crashed because I hadn't updated my drivers. Didn't update, open it okay, says video editor Dave Jones, but both add that the game's being doing some otherwise impressive stuff outside of these moments has been running okay. So hopefully a few hot fixes can handle the majority of issues. At the time of writing, Spider-Man 2 has in fact just received its first hot fix, which targets device hang crashes that could occur while playing the game with ray tracing enabled. That could have been what PCG was running into. So we'll see if that nixes the general issues that Nix's work has so far been running into. But if you've been thinking of dropping the cash on Spidey's latest adventure, good luck, but maybe give it a week or two. And that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing as well. I'm not going to run into buying this game right away. I thought about getting it immediately, but something told me not to do it, and it wasn't because of this. I only had heard about it just about the same day that the game had launched to PC. And that's pretty much it. That's all I got to cover tonight. Let me know your thoughts about this. Have you purchased Marvel Spider-Man 2 for PC? Are you looking forward to getting the game? And will you buy it after these first patch of fixes have pretty much completed? Let me know. I'll certainly get it eventually, not probably this week, if not next week or so. I'm not sure. We'll just have to wait and see. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching once again. As always, guys, like, comment, subscribe, click on the bell notification so you all don't miss anything. Dislike the video if you did, and I will see you all in the next comic panel.